will you do the invocation?
Yes. Let's go to our Creator and we will bless this meeting. Stand if you can. If you can't, we'll still take care of business. O ghi tôi là cái lớn thì hay, cầu hít sợ hay dễ kêuจะเรียกให้เล่นในก้อนจำในลูกจี Now let's go and eat so go eat what time the post hay dễ go to lead. The most gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight to take care of the business of the tribe at hand. We just want to thank you for the many blessings that you bestowed upon our tribe and our nation. First and foremost, we thank you for the veterans that are here tonight and how it is possible for us to, with their dedication to our state here in the United States, and how it makes it possible for us to take care of business here for a tribe. Guide and lead us, dear Lord, as we take care of our business meeting tonight. In Jesus Christ we pray. Amen.
Gail, you call the roll.
Jack Baker.
Here.
Arthur Buster.
Here.
Joe Bird.
On in.
Here.
Janelle Fulbright.
Present.
Don Gordon. Frankie Morgan. Present. Connie Gordon.
Present.
Lee King.
On the.
Dick May.
Here.
Curtis Snell.
Here.
Denise Taylor.
Here.
David Thornton.
On the.
Victoria Vasquez.
Honey.
David Watkins.
On
Eric Allen Watson.
Honey.
Okay. We have a quorum. We'll move on to a review of the October 13th, 2014 minutes, which are contained in your packet. Do I hear a motion? I have a motion. Do I have a second? I have a motion and a second. Are there any corrections or questions about the minutes? All those in favor can signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? I believe the ayes have.
Madam Speaker.
Yes.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda for 7 items that came out of committees today. Item 14 being a resolution confirming the nomination of Lynn Burris as a justice of the Cherokee Nation Supreme Court. Item 15, a resolution in support of the Cherokee Nation's Promise Zone application. Item 16, a resolution authorizing Cherokee Nation Information Technology Department to donate surplus office equipment to the Moffett Police Department in Sequoyah County. Item 17 is an act amending Legislative Act 25-14, authorizing the comprehensive operating budget for fiscal year 2015, Mod 3A. Item 18 is a resolution supporting the Federal American Indian Loan Forgiveness Act of 2014. Item 19 is a resolution authorizing transfer of trust land in fee to Charles Stillwell. Item 20 is a resolution authorizing Cherokee Nation's application for full membership into the Intertribal Agricultural Council.
Second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to amend the agenda. Are there questions? Okay. All those in favor can signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Ayes have it, and those agenda items will be placed on the end of the agenda known as 14 through 20. Okay, now it's time for the State of the Nation by Principal Chief Bill John Baker.
OCO. We've, the last 30 days, we've had an extremely good time at the Cherokee Nation. Most recently, we observed Veterans Day, feeding some 300 veterans at the Veterans Center, and having a laying of the wreaths, and obviously the participating in the Veterans Day Parade. Tonight, I would like to recognize any of the veterans that are in the audience, if you'd please stand. And any of the families of the veterans, because we know you all sacrificed as well. If you would please stand. But especially, I would like to recognize 7 World War II veterans who we were blessed to have been able to send to Washington, D.C. on the first Cherokee Warrior flight. And if they would stand individually, we have Steve Downing Jr. Steve, raise your hand.
Steve Downing.
Dewey Alberti. Charles Carey. Guy Wilson. There you go. William Wood. Thank you, sir. Eugene Fox. And Joseph Leathers. God bless you all. You've represented the Cherokee Nation well, and it was our honor and a privilege to send you to D.C. We've also dedicated this month the Jack Brown Youth Center for Drug and Alcohol Abuse, a new $5 million facility that I'll put up against facilities around the country that charge as much as $10,000 a month for drug and alcohol treatment. We've doubled the number of beds for our youth, and this is a center that will change lives, save lives, and put Cherokee families whole once again. We've teamed up with the U.S. Department of Interior to restore 100 acres of abandoned coal mine land over in Sequoyah County. So no longer will it be an eyesore and a danger, but a place of recreation, a place where our young and old can go and fish and enjoy nature the way it was intended to be, instead of remnants of old strip mines. And you really need to get over there to see that reclaimed land that is so nice, that joins the 1,200-acre Salisaw Creek Park. We opened a one-stop shop in Salisaw for car tags, for career services, and for ICW, so that those folks in that part of the Cherokee Nation can go there to a very central location with plenty of parking and a very, very nice facility. We've received a grant from U.S. Department of Justice of more than $880,000 to help fulfill the mission of the Charles L. Head One Fire Against Violence Victim Services. Special recognition tonight. The Cherokee Nation recently had 6 nurses named recipients of the Great 100 Nurses of Oklahoma. This is a true honor for them as individuals, but also to the tribe and to the quality of our healthcare system. This national foundation recognizes standout nurses for their contributions to healthcare. Winners were selected based on their contribution to the nursing profession and for the serving as role models, and they were nominated by patients, peers, administrators, or their community. This time, I'd like to congratulate Mona Brown. Mona. Catherine Hollenbeck. Not here? Okay. Marguerite Parker. Dorothy Snyder Peters. Nope. Lisa Woodworth. And Cheryl Young. If you'd all give them a big round of applause. We are so proud of these 6 receiving the award, and for all of the nurses who are dutifully in our health centers and hospitals each and every day. If you ladies would please come forward, the deputy and I have something to present to you.
Did we pay our utility bill this month?
I don't know, it's gonna go.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. This comes to the part of my program that we remember those that were with us last month but are no longer with us. I'm going to read the list of names and ask for others, and then we'll have a moment of silence, please. Jacob Bales of Locust Grove, Jerry Batt of Tahlequah, Benny Bush, a Cherokee Nation employee, Jerry Lewis Cochran of Grove, Tilda Christie of Tahlequah, also a Cherokee Nation employee, Ella Dartery of Stillwell, Hunter Eubanks of Stillwell, Eli Fields of Tahlequah, Stephanie Fields of Grove, Ella Mae Foreman of Tahlequah, James Foster of Stillwell, Ronnie Heap of Claremore, Ivy Hensley of Tahlequah, Houston Henson of Coweta, Pauline Hitchcock of Salina, Winona Leach, Cherokee Nation employee, Laureen Matthews of Stillwell, J.P. McNair of Pryor, Maxie No Fire of Stillwell, Henry Smoke of Salisaw, John Wadsworth of Tahlequah, Benjamin Ward of Salisaw, and Terry Wilson of Tulsa. Do we have others?
It's Sophia Fields of Claremore and Lane Warren of Claremore Adair.
Okay.
Gary Bevan of Muskogee is school principal and also Board of Education.
Right.
Gladys Walters of Salisaw.
Thank you.
Jerry Rosser of Pryor.
Farron Mayfield, Skytook.
My uncle Joe Young Jr. of Stillwell.
We'll all take a moment of silence. Wadeau. God bless each and every one of you, and God bless the Cherokee Nation.
Yes, this is the Cherokee Warrior Veterans Awards by S. Joe Crittenden, our Deputy Principal Chief.
Madam Speaker, Honorable Council, tonight we have three veterans to present the Warrior Award to for their service to this great country. And if the at-large council members, Council Lady Coates and Councilman Baker would come down, please. The first two are from at-large. And our first veteran tonight is Mr. Charles Linder. Charles, would you come down, sir? Charles Linder joined the United States Marine Corps in 1973 under the Delayed Entry Program. He graduated from Fairfax High School in 1974 and reported for boot camp in San Diego. After graduation, he was transferred to Camp Pendleton with Headquarters Battalion 311 as the driver for the base commander. He also served in this capacity with the Lima Battalion 211, 155 howitzers. During his service, he was involved in the Marine boxing program and was company champion at the middleweight division while at Camp Pendleton. Private First Class Linder was also battalion rifle champion. He was honorably discharged in 1977. And Charles Linder, I want to thank you, sir, for your service to this country.
I'd like to thank everyone for this honor. Appreciate the recognition. God bless you.
Will you introduce Ms. Cherokee?
Our next veteran is Frank David Whitlock, Sr. Come down, sir. At large, this one. Yeah. Thank you, Julie. Sergeant Frank David Whitlock, Sr. of Tulsa, Oklahoma, was born in 1972 to Sam and Helen Whitlock. He enlisted with the United States Marine Corps in 1997 and trained in San Diego. After completing basic training, he was a reservist at ATTOW County or Company in Broken Arrow as a 0352 tow gunner. He then transferred to Texas with the 2nd Battalion, 14th Marines headquarters as a field radio operator. In 2000, he went to active duty with the VFMA 112 in Fort Worth, where he was discharged in 2003 to go to college to become a firefighter. He volunteered to go to Iraq and during this time, his Humvee was hit by an IED in July of 2005. That explosion left him wounded, and he was determined medically retired from the Marine Corps in 2006 with just over 9 years of service. He received the Purple Heart Award due to the injuries he received. Frank now enjoys playing with his grandchildren. Mr. Whitlock, thank you for your service to this country, sir.
thank everybody, and I want to thank the gentleman up here from World War II. You paved the way for us. Thank you.
And if Council Lady Taylor, Cherokee and Watts, and Mr. Keener would come down, please. Our last veteran tonight, Madam Speaker, is Charles Rawls. Charles, would you come down, sir? Staff Sergeant Charles Rawls of Claremore was born in 1967 to Oliver and Dorothy J. Rawls. He is the great-grandson of William Edward Sanders, Sr., former Cherokee sheriff and senator from Cooey-Scooey. Cooey-Scooey? Is that the way you say that? District. He enlisted with the U.S. Army in 1984 and was shipped to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri for basic training and training as combat engineer. After the training, he was stationed in Germany with the 547th Combat Engineers and then at Fort Riley, Kansas with the 1st Engineer Battalion. He returned to Oklahoma and joined the Army National Guard and served 5 years there. He returned to active duty and trained as a parachute rigger, and after attending airborne and rigger school, he was stationed at Fort Bragg. Charles returned to the Oklahoma National Army Guard, where he became a recruiter retention NCO for several years in the South Tulsa area. He volunteered for a deployment to Afghanistan and was deployed with the 1-279 Infantry Battalion 45th Infantry Brigade as a battalion engineer force protection specialist. Charles was honorably discharged in 2003. Mr. Rawls, thank you, sir, for your service to this country. Madam Speaker, I was asked to make mention that we have Little Miss Cherokee, Ashlyn Sutton, at our audience this evening. Where are you at? There she is. And that's all I have, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I see no pending unfinished business. That'll move us on into committee reports. Our first report will be by the Director of the Housing Authority, Gary Cooper.
Madam Speaker, members of the council, good evening. I know you've had a very brief this evening. I do want to be sure to mention that our regular Housing Authority Board meeting is scheduled for next Thursday evening at 5:30 at our offices in Tahlequah. We continue at the Housing Authority to work very closely with our national organization, National American Indian Housing Council, along with sister organizations, National Congress of the American Indians, and others, in seeing NAHASA reauthorized before this Congress adjourns session. It looks very hopeful that we may see that happen next week, or at least before Congress adjourns next month. As you know, the Negotiated Rulemaking Committee for the Indian Housing Block Grant Formula is not scheduled to meet again until later on in the summer. But still, until that time, there is a study group that has been working pretty diligently on a number of issues. I serve on that group, and we have a conference call about every 2 to 3 weeks to try to get through part of the work that we've been tasked with handling for the committee. So we continue down that road and down that path. I think most of you are aware that we've realigned some of our services and over at the Housing Authority in order to better serve constituents out in your area and to get our resources out into your local areas. And I'm glad to report that our staff has been doing a very good job with that. As we head into the holiday season, we have a bunch of trainings that's going on at the Housing Authority, including a customer service training, which is a requirement and it's going to be mandatory for all of my frontline staff. I also want to be sure to mention to you, I know that our advisory members are aware of it, but any of the rest of you who might want to attend, our all-employee Christmas gathering is December 18th, and so our offices will be closed on that day, and you will be getting an invitation for that. As I mentioned earlier, I know that several of you all have had community meetings, and at your invitation, I've made sure that the Housing Authority was represented there and that we had staff out and all of that other good stuff. If I happen to miss someone, I do apologize, but it's simply because I wasn't aware of a meeting. So if you will, I know that Gail's really good about sending out those notices whenever you ask her to, and Kanan is also good about getting those out. So if you want us there, we'd be happy to attend. Just be sure to let us know. Before closing, I want to just mention, what a little bit about what the Housing Authority does. We continue to provide assistance to over 6,000 families on a monthly basis that we help with some form of housing assistance through our offices, and that's ongoing. And that also includes, the more than 2,500, there's just a few over 2,500 that we help with affordable homeowners insurance. Those families who have to have homeowners insurance in order to go to get housing rehab. It's one of those catch-22s where you can't get one unless you have insurance, and so we work with Amran in order to provide those services, and we have about 2,500 folks who take advantage of that, and we're happy to help them. That concludes my report for this evening. As always, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer those for you. Again, I wanted to try to keep it very brief for you because I know that you've had a long day.
Yes, do we have any questions?
I just have a comment.
Ms. Taylor?
I spoke with some residents at the Claremore Senior Housing, and they are very proud of their new kitchen. Several of them told me how beautiful the cabinets were, and so I appreciate you taking care of them. I know it's a long way from Tahlequah, and we appreciate you remembering us up there in that northern area.
You're welcome. We try not to forget anyone, and we maintain a pretty long list of we call it a wish list of things that we would like to do, because sometimes, something comes up, we have a sewer leak somewhere, and we kind of have to push stuff off. So we're always happy to do that.
They're very pleased with the work you did.
I'm glad to hear that.
So
thank you.
Very good report.
Thank you.
Our next report will be by our CEO of Cherokee Nation Businesses, Sean Slayton.
Good evening, council, audience. It's my pleasure tonight to report on September for our companies. We had a great month, $10.59 million in net income, and that wraps up our fiscal year for 2014. And we had again, hats off to our employees for their hard work. We finished right at $11 million more this year than we did last year. So I want to congratulate them on their effort and the results from that. Additionally, this month we contributed $277,000 in tax collections, and we have several projects currently underway, 4 clinics, and those are in various stages of construction around the 14 counties. Salisaw should wrap up fairly quickly, and Oshaleta will be right behind that. And then we have the clinic at Stillwell and Jay that will be finishing, be the first quarter of next year. So we're proud of what those are looking like. We're proud of the workers that are on the projects. A lot of them are taro vendors and Cherokee citizens, and we're proud of the work that they're doing. We also have the hospital under design, and excited about what that's going to look like. We did get the okay from council and chief to make a change to that, to harden that to where it will withstand a tornado. And so we've been working diligently over the last couple of months making that change. 2 casino projects underway. We're rebuilding the casino at Roland. That's going to be a beautiful project, similar in size to West Siloam. And then we have a project up at South Coffeyville, and that's going to start out as a modular project similar to Ramona. And once we test the market, if it tests out like we think it will, then we'll look at putting a nice permanent facility up there as well. And last but not least is Outpost 1 out here. It's served the Cherokee people over the last 10, 11, 12 years, and we're going to rebuild that one as well. When I was out there a while ago, there was a line to get gas, so it's a popular station, and it has definitely outgrown what it can service today. We do a lot of good work around 14 counties, our employees, and one of the things that we have recently done is work with Sequoia in their dormitories to buy 2 new commercial washers and 2 new commercial dryers for both the boys and the girls' dorms. Those were badly needed, and I've received, on behalf of our employees, a lot of thanks from the people at Sequoia for our hard work being able to help them. I do want to read a little bit about what we did out at Anadarko for Riverside Indian School. We just completed a 2-year project for the construction of 2 dormitories there. That was Cherokee CRC, and we worked with the Bureau of Indian Affairs to do that. And we recently had a dedication out there of those, and I wished I had pictures that I could show, but the Cherokee people would be really proud of what we built for that facility out there. Each dorm has 4 wings with 12 rooms, as well as its own living room, kitchen, laundry, and restroom. There are also 4 reserved rooms that feature special accommodations for students with disabilities. The wings are joined together by the main entrance and a common room which has lounge-style furniture, pool tables, foosball, and more. The facilities were designed to withstand severe weather and provide safe rooms that exceed FEMA standards. The common rooms in each dorm double as the safe rooms and have a 12-inch thick reinforced concrete wall and roof. The doors and windows were tested in a laboratory with debris traveling at speeds in excess of 100 miles an hour. These measures ensure that the safe room can survive a direct hit from an F5 tornado. We're very proud of the work that was done out there, and that part of the country experiences severe weather consistently each year in the springtime. We have several exciting things happening next week. On Monday, we're hosting a lunch to commemorate the 10 years since the passage of State Question 712, which was a constitutional amendment posed to Oklahoma voters that allowed the state to negotiate a compact with the Oklahoma tribes to operate Class 3 games, similar to what was out in Vegas. Former Governor Brad Henry is planning to join us for the event. It's at 11:30 in the Sequoia Ballroom at Hard Rock if you'd like to attend. On Wednesday at 2 p.m., we're hosting a topping out ceremony at the Sam Heidler Health Center in Jay. And then on Thursday and Friday night, we have events with Mike Tyson at the Hard Rock. The Friday night event is going to be a professional night of boxing featuring local Cherokee Nation citizen Wes Snowfire. And Wes is becoming a contender for the heavyweight division. We invite you to come to that and support him. It should be a good match. So we've got a very busy week ahead and hope you can join us for some of those events. On Saturday, November 15th is Rock Your Mocs Day, and our cultural tourism team has hosted a moccasin making class this week in preparation of this weekend's event. Rock Your Mocs Day was founded in 2011 by Laguna Pueblo in an effort to unite all tribes by its individuals wearing moccasins on November 15th and then sharing a photo on social media. and they've got the hashtag is number RYM 2014. And for more information on the event, you can visit www.facebook.com/rockyourmocs, MOCS. Currently at CMB, we have 6,049 employees. We have 4,631 CMB employees, and that's after we exclude the contract and temporary employees. Our Cherokee Nation percentage on the businesses that we can practice preference hiring is 74.7, with other Native Americans at 7.6%, for a total combined Native American employment of 82.3. Tonight, we have several members of our board of directors here for reconfirmation, and it's been my pleasure over the years to serve with many of these. Some of them were former CEO and vice president of retail, former chairman of the board. It takes the administration, it takes our tribal council, and it takes our board of directors to be able to accomplish the things that you see your businesses doing. And I just want to express my appreciation to each one of them for the time that they give to the businesses, which people don't know about. It's not just a one-day event or a two-meeting event or anything like that. We rely on them consistently to bounce our ideas off of and provide direction to us. And on top of being good businessmen, they're just good Cherokee men, and I really appreciate what they've done for us. It's a month of Thanksgiving, and I've certainly been blessed in my life to work for the Cherokee people. And part of another blessing that came into my life is a young lady here that's my daughter-in-law, and Brittany Yates, and she's here to support her grandfather, Maxie Thompson, tonight. And I just want to say how much I love her and appreciate all she's done for our family. So thank you very much.
Okay, seeing no, yes, I think, Ms. Fulbright, you have something that you want to.
Yes, I think we might have skipped one of our World War II veterans to be recognized. I don't know if he heard his name called or not, and it's Mr. Steve Downing, one of our World War II warriors that went to Washington, D.C. Would you please give us a toss-up of your hat there, sir, so we know you. Thank you, Mr. Downing.
Seeing no old business, we'll move into the new business. Neil, will you take number one?
Yes, be happy to. This is a resolution confirming the reappointment of James Ronald Amos as Commissioner of the Housing Authority of the Cherokee Nation Board of Commissioners. This is a reappointment. He was first appointed under the previous administration. He has done a wonderful job, and I'm happy to know that when we have good board members left over from the previous administration, we don't just automatically say, this is a new group and we're bringing in somebody different. And I want to disclose that he is my cousin, and he is also a cousin of our tribal counselor, Mr. Don Garvin from Muskogee. And I put this in form of a motion that he be reappointed for another 3-year term.
Second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion
Family
and a second. And I believe you are, yes, I see you on the back row here tonight. in case anyone has any questions. Are there any questions? We have a motion and a second now, so we'll open it up. Okay. Well, all those in favor of this resolution can signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed?
Abstain.
We have one abstention. Would you like to say a few words? Okay. All right, well. Okay, thank you for your service. Mr. Thornton, would you care to take number 2?
No, it wouldn't bother me at all. This is a resolution confirming the reappointment of Anthony Yates as a Commissioner of the Housing Authority of the Cherokee Nation Board of Commissioners. And I want to put that into a motion.
Okay. We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. And I believe Mr. Yates is sitting there on the back row, too. Okay. And I believe he's the one that said we were all cousins. Okay. Yes. Questions?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Mr. Yates, Mr. Amos, thank you for being here and being present and having current resumes for the nominations. I greatly appreciate it. I think Mr. Amos didn't make the drive from Claremore during committee, so you missed the questioning, but I'll save it for later. And Tony, I appreciate you following up on the questions I had from committee. That is to be commended, and I think that's what our constituents expect is an engaged commissioners and board members. So thank you. Widow.
Are there any other questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor of this resolution can signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Mr. Yates, do you have any comments? These men are a few words. They're just doing good service. Thank you again for your service. Frankie, would you take number 3, please?
Yes, this is a resolution confirming the reappointment of Michael Watkins as a board member of the Cherokee Nation Business, and I put that in the form of a motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and Mr. Watkins is here on the, like, 3rd or 4th row there. Do we have questions or comments at this time?
Could I be added as a sponsor?
Yes, sir. We'll add Mr. Lay as a sponsor. Are there others that would like to come on as sponsors?
Me.
Janelle? Okay. Janice? Others down on this end? Mr. Thornton? Okay. Got you. Who else down on this end would like to be added on as sponsor this evening? Mr. Byrd, did you
Just a comment.
Okay.
Sean Slayton talked about renovating our convenience store next door. Michael Watkins is the one that was in charge of renovating or reopening that convenience store back in the late 90s, and he did an excellent job, and it's still running today, Mike. Good job. Yeah. And motor fuels come fast, right. Thank you.
Okay. Other questions or comments? Okay, all in favor of this resolution can signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed?
Abstain.
One abstention. Ayes have it. Thank you for your service. Would you like to say something? Thank you for your service. Mr. Walking-Stick, would you take number 4?
Yes. This is a resolution confirming the reappointment of Buck Charles George as a board member of the Cherokee Nation Businesses. I'd like to put that in form of a motion.
Okay, do we have a second? Second by Victoria. We have a motion and second, and Mr. George is here. And I need to expose he's my cousin and has been all his life. I said that 3 years ago, and I told the chief when he nominated him, he's a good man, but did you know he's my cousin? And I kind of believe what Mr. Yates said. I believe we're all cousins to some degree. Mr. George is here. Do we have questions? Yes, Mr. Lay.
Just be added as a sponsor.
Okay, Mr. Lay would like to be added as a sponsor. Are there others on this end? Mr. Thornton? Ms. Taylor? Mr. Lay? Mr. Curtis there? Who else we got? All right. Questions or comments? All those in favor can signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Ayes have it. We got one abstention, I'm sorry. Julia. Thank you very much. Do you have a comment?
I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to serve the Cherokee Nation. It's been a real honor and learning experience for me, but I've truly enjoyed it, and I look forward to the next 3 years.
Thank you for your service. Let's see. Ms. Taylor, would you care to take number 5?
It's Resolution 14101, a resolution confirming the reappointment of Bob Berry as a board member of the Cherokee Nation Businesses LLC, and I put that in the form of a motion.
I second it.
Okay, so we have a motion and second, and Mr. Berry is here and present. Do we have questions or comments? Okay, we take the sponsors first. Mr. Lay,
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Taylor, Janice, David Thornton. Who else we got? Victoria, Mr. Snell, Mr. Byrd. Okay. They get everybody? Okay. Mr. Walkenstick. Now, we had someone down here, I think, that had questions. Council Lady Watts.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just wanted to explain for my constituents here why I'm unable to support Mr. Berry this evening. During committee, this was explained, but most times you won't hear what's in committee if you're here. So Mr. Berry was involved or part of the purchase of the golf course and the farmland here in Tahlequah. Even though he abstained from that vote on the board, I still see it as a pretty significant conflict of interest at $8.5 million purchase. And I think that continues on. There's other things that I don't favor in terms of conflict of interest. So that's why I won't be supporting Mr. Berry, even though I appreciate your service. Thank you.
Okay, yes, Ms. Taylor.
And Mr. Berry, I want to thank you for selling us that piece of property, because I recently found out that the property across the street, an acre and a half, sold for $550,000. So I think we got a bargain.
Okay. Other questions? Okay. All in favor of this resolution can signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Let's see. Mr. Keener? Ms. Watts? Ms. Coates? We have 3. Do we need to take roll call, or is that 3? Okay, we have 3. We'll do it again. Yes. Okay. Frankie, would you care to take number 6?
Sure. This is a resolution confirming the reappointment of Grant Taylor as a board member of Cherokee Nation Businesses. I put that in the form of a motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Do we have some folks that want to be added as sponsors? Mr. Lay, Janelle, David Walkenstick, David Thornton, Victoria, Mr. Byrd, Mr. Curtis. Okay, did I get everybody on additions for sponsors? Okay, we have a motion and second. Do we have questions or comments at this time? Yes, Ms. Watts.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Brent, we always have great conversations. I know you're very diligent at your position, and I don't want to take away from that, but the reality is your wife sits on council, and although the Attorney General has cleared that as not a conflict of interest, I think it's something that we can't work around. So I can't, in good conscience, with my individual vote on council, support both her being on council and you being on the businesses board, because I think that's just too close of a relationship. But again, I appreciate your service, so I'll be voting no this evening. Thank you.
Yes, Ms. Coates.
And I just want to echo that as well. It's something I really wish I could. I feel sorry because I like both of you very much, but it's a matter of principle rather than of personalities for me. I do appreciate your work, both of you.
Okay, other questions, comments? Oh, and I forgot to recognize you, Brent. Let me take the vote, and then we'll go from there. All those in favor can signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we have Julia and Kara. That'd be.
And one abstention.
And Mr. Keener, and one abstention, Ms. Taylor. And it looks like the ayes have it, and Mr. Taylor, you're here. Would you like to make a comment or two?
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank the tribal council. I'd like to thank the people of the Cherokee Nation. I'd also like to thank Chief Baker for the opportunity to serve on the board. It's been an honor and privilege, and I'm looking forward to the next 3 years. Thank you very much.
And we want to thank you for your service. I have to apologize, Mr. Berry. I didn't give you an opportunity to say anything, and I must apologize.
I guess you were asking me to say a few words, and I was hoping that you would actually, like John Wayne's wife, and talk with a large voice so I could hear you. I would like to say that I've enjoyed working on the business board under Sean and with the other directors. I enjoy it very much. I'll contribute every way I can.
And thank you for your service, sir.
I want to make a comment about Mr. Berry because in committee, a lot of people didn't hear the transaction of what he was asked. First off, I want to clarify that in this transaction, he made it very clear that he had no interest whatsoever in the raw property, and he was a minority holder of the Cherokee, we call it Cherokee Clubhouse now. It was Cherry Springs Golf Club House. He was a minority holder in that. So whether he really wanted to sell it or not sell it, since he was a minority in it, he really had no say-so over it whatsoever. And he is one of our very best board members. He brings to us years of knowledge, wealth. He has run a multi-million-dollar business. He adds a lot to the board because he's got so much experience. He's not just run a little mom-and-pop operation out here. And I commend him for his service to us. And sometimes you really have to take a lot to serve. And I appreciate your service, sir. Thank you.
That will move us to number 7. Mr. Bird, will you take that?
Sam Ray Hart as a board member of Cherokee Nation. Sam Ray Hart as a board member of Cherokee Nation Business LLC, and he is not my kin.
Okay. Mr. Hart is here. Was that in the form of a motion?
Yes, it is.
Second. And do we have a second over here? And do we have additions to sponsorship? Okay. Janelle, Dick, Janice, David Stick, Mr. Thornton, all three, Victoria, Mr. Bird, Mr. Snell. Is that everybody? Okay. We have a motion, second, addition of sponsors. Do we have, and Mr. Hart, of course, is here. Do we have questions or comments?
He's our chairman of the board. Does an outstanding job.
All those in favor of this resolution can signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Abstain?
One abstention. I believe the ayes have it. Mr. Hart, would you like to say something?
thank Chief Baker and this council 3 years ago for allowing me to serve as Cherokee Nation. Like everyone has said, we've got all our board members here except one, which was Mr. Turner. Mr. Turner is in Seattle, so he was unable to be here tonight. But this has been a great honor serving with these gentlemen. We have one of the best leaderships I can ever think of any organization. We've been awful fortunate to have the senior management that we've had. I think all our records show that in the last few years, how we have grown our businesses as under Chief Baker's guidance. Is what he wanted us to do, and that's what we've done. And I would like to thank you for that, and I thank you again for the re-nomination, and I'd like to appreciate the council's vote. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
And thank you for your service. Mr. Walking-Stick, will you take number 8?
Yes. This is a resolution confirming the reappointment of Gary Cooper as a board member of the Cherokee Nation Businesses, LLC. I'd like to put that in the form of a motion.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? Okay, Frankie. Do we have additions for sponsorship? Nell, Dick, Janice, David Walkenstick. Okay. Mr. Thornton, Victoria, Mr. Byrd, Mr. Snell. Now we have a motion and second, and we have Mr. Cooper here. Are there questions or comments? Yes, Ms. Watt.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I know that in committee we went diligently through who's related to who, but I guess there were people watching, so there was confusion. I guess you're not related to anyone on the council or in a constitutional position, but maybe your wife is? Is there a relationship there? Anyone in an elected or constitutional position or another board member? Or... Okay, that was brought to my attention and I didn't know, so I thought I would ask you to clarify. Yes, so your son's the head of the Housing Authority. I think that's pretty well known as he's junior. Thank you, Mr. Cooper.
I didn't quite hear the question. What did you say, Ms. Watts? Was he kin to?
There was
somebody kin to?
My wife was kin.
To some public official? His wife is my husband's cousin. I mean, does that?
Hey, I don't know.
Now Rex was elected to be her husband. So he was elected.
Yeah. I don't know how that works into things. That's that we're all kin to somehow by a couple of degrees.
I'm simply following up on a constituent concern who was watching after the statements made in committee, so I appreciate your clarification. Thank you.
I think there was something on Facebook that you were my son, or somebody was my son. But we went to high school together, so he can't be my son. We actually graduated the same year. So contrary to Facebook, he's not my son. I'm not quite that old. Any other questions or comments? Yes, Mr. Walkenstick.
Speaker, for all kin, I need invites to family reunions.
Especially the ones with good food.
Yeah.
All right. All those in favor of this resolution can signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Abstain.
Okay, we have one abstention. All right, Mr. Cooper?
I'd like to thank all of you for your trust, and I'd like to thank you also for serving Riverdale. So you're the backbone here, and that's really getting us going. And I'd like to thank all the board members on our board. Those are really good to work with. We all got the same focus in mind, the same mission. We're just a big team. Thank you.
And thank you for your service. Okay, Mr. Byrd, would you take number 9?
Yes, I'd be glad to. Resolution confirming reappointment of Jerry Holderby as board member, Cherokee Nation Business, LLC. Jerry's our former CEO of CNB, CNE, and does an outstanding job and has fought for Indian rights since his birth. So I strongly support this gentleman.
Okay, you put that in the form of a motion?
Yes, sir.
Second.
And we have a second down here of Mr. Thornton. With a motion and second, do we have additional sponsors? Okay, Dick, Janelle, Janice, see, Mr. Thornton, did I see you down there?
I think I'm on there.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Anybody else over here?
Mr. Garvin.
Mr. Garvin, Victoria, Curtis, is that everybody? Okay, we have a motion and second, and we have Mr. Holderby here. Are there questions or comments?
Comment.
Yes.
When I first met Mr. Holderby, it's many years ago, back when I first was appointed to the Gaming Commission, and he impressed me as a man who cared about a lot of people. And I happened to be standing by he and Chief Joe Bird at the time, and they were talking about families and how much family was important to them. And he made the remark, he said, I try to help all my family get a job because if I don't, they might move in with me. So it sounds pretty close to home. So he's a great guy. He'll help you if he can.
Are there other questions or comments? Mr. Thornton.
I have just one comment. Back in 1997, I had a couple guys come to me, want me to serve on this board. It was called C&E at that time, I believe. And my very first meeting, I knew I was into it when I walked in and saw Jerry and Joe there. Because we left that meeting and went over and fired someone that day. Thank you, Jerry. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay, all in favor of this resolution can confirm by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Abstain.
We have one abstention. I believe the ayes have it. Mr. Holderby, would you like to make a comment?
Normally I would just say not guilty. That's my turn. But I would like, in all seriousness, I do appreciate the opportunity to come back and work for the Cherokee Nation. CND and CNG, that company's very dear to me. And I want to thank you. I just appreciate it. Thank you.
And thank you for your service. Okay. Frankie, I'm going to have you, if you would, take number 10.
Okay, resolution confirming the reappointment of Deacon Turner as a board member of the Cherokee Nation Business. I put that in the form of a motion.
Okay.
Second it.
We have a motion and a second. Are there additional sponsors at this time? Okay, we have Mr. Baker, Mr. Lay, Janelle, Janice. Do we have anybody else over here? Okay, over here we have Victoria, Mr. Bird, and Curtis. Do we have others? Okay. And as Mr. Hart said, he was unable to be with us tonight. I believe it was Mr. Hart because he is in Seattle.
He said he could do this by phone.
Okay. Do we have questions or comments here?
I've got a comment.
Yes.
I think we're very lucky to have someone with the high caliber as Deacon Turner to serve on our board. If you keep up with him just a little bit, you'll know that he's a world traveler. He brings a lot of expertise about many different subjects. He is highly qualified and highly educated, and he is a great asset to our board. I'm happy to support him.
Are there other questions or comments? Okay. This is a resolution confirming the reappointment of Deacon Turner. All those in favor can signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Abstain.
One abstention. And I believe the ayes have it. And I would like to comment, but lest we not forget, all of these are good Cherokee men that are serving on this board, and we certainly appreciate your service to the tribe. Okay. Janelle, I'm going to have you, if you would, take number 11.
All righty. A resolution confirming the nomination of Maxie Thompson as an editorial board member of the Cherokee Phoenix, and I move for his approval to be appointed.
Okay, we have a motion and second, and Mr. Thompson is here on the back row today. I think he was vetted at committee. Are there questions or comments? Yes, Ms. Watts.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Mr. Thompson, I appreciate your diligence because you were at both meetings as well, and you were very candid in answering questions. I have nothing against you. I simply believe that the law states for the Free Press Act or the Independent Press Act that you would require a journalism degree and work in administration of a journal or newspaper. And I just simply do not think that you're a fit for the editorial board according to the law, which is why I will be voting no this evening. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Yes, Janelle.
I think he's highly qualified for this position. This is a position that is for a layperson. This is a vacancy for a layperson, not a journalist. So we have a division of opinion here as to what vacancy he is filling. He is highly qualified as just an ordinary person. Everybody that's on the editorial board do not have to be journalists. This position that we're filling tonight is for a layperson. Thank you.
Okay. Other questions or comments? Do we have other sponsors that want to come on at this time? Let's see. Janelle, Frankie, Mr. Walkenstick, did I see your hand there? Okay. Mr. Bird, Curtis, Miss Victoria. Okay. We got everybody on there? Okay. All those in favor of this resolution confirming the nomination of Maxie Thompson to the editorial board can signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed?
Aye.
Let's see. Mr. Keener, Ms. Watts, Ms. Coates. Is that everyone, or do we need a roll call vote? I think we have to. Mr. Thompson, would you like to say something? Thank you very much, and we, too, appreciate your future service to the people. And this, again, is a good Cherokee man. Thank you. Mr. Thornton, would you care to take number 12?
Yes, this is a resolution authorizing the Cherokee Nation Housing Rehab Program to donate surplus real estate, including a replacement home, to Susan L. Brown in Sequoia County.
Second
I'll put that into a motion.
I second it.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have questions or comments? This came out of the Executive and Finance Committee last month. All those in favor of this resolution can signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Believe the ayes have it. All right, Ms. Taylor, would you take number 13?
I would. It is this is an Act 14-096, and it is amending Legislative Act 25-14, authorizing the comprehensive operating budget for fiscal year 2015, Mod 2, and declaring an emergency, and I put that in the form of a motion.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
Excuse me. By acclamation.
Yes, by acclamation. Okay, do we have any questions or comments before we vote? All those in favor can signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? The act passes. Thank you very much. Now, that's going to move us down to our amendments, which are on the separate page. And these are all resolutions or acts that we took up today in committee. Ms. Frankie, would you care to take what we'll call number 14, which is the first one on our amendment page?
This is the resolution confirming the nomination of Lynn Burris as a justice of the Cherokee Nation Supreme Court. I put that in the form of a motion.
Okay. We have a motion and second by Mr. Thornton. This came out of rules today, and Mr. Burris was here and very well vetted at that time. He was unable to be with us tonight, but we had him for quite a length of time this morning. Are there any questions or comments? Ms. Julia.
Thank you. I am not able to support Mr. Burris on this nomination. I believe he's well qualified, but he has been serving on our Employee Appeals Board for several years at this point. We currently have some cases in front of the Supreme Court involving dismissals of employees, alleged illegal terminations of employees that Mr. Burris has already ruled on as a member of the EAB, that he will be potentially having a second opportunity to rule on as a justice of the Supreme Court. In addition, he's got a brother who continues to serve on the Employee Appeals Board, and it's not inconceivable that there will be additional cases of this kind coming in front of the Supreme Court, as there have been over these past several years. And I feel as though there are just some things here that I'm very, very uncomfortable with, put it that way, in terms of things that, again, family relationships and conflicts that come forth. So I've no doubt that I will be in the minority in having those concerns here. But nevertheless, they are concerns that I hold, and so I will have to go ahead and vote my conscience on these concerns as a result. It's not anything against Mr. Burris. Again, I think he's probably very well qualified. But I continue to listen, not only in this meeting, but in so many meetings, about the relationships, the conflicts of interest, and I just feel that that we're running into just a lot of very, very close relationships throughout all of our boards and commissions, and now into our judicial branch as well. So again, just on principle, rather than anything about Mr. Burris himself, I won't be able to support this.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ms. Watts?
Is there someone here that could answer questions possibly about Mr. Burris or such? I know that I was late this morning and you'd moved him up on the agenda, so therefore I missed him. I assumed he would be here since it's getting rushed from one meeting to the next, and we didn't get his resume until after the books were printed. I have questions, and so I'm not opposed to Mr. Burris, but I want reassurance that judicial conduct won't allow some of the things that Councilwoman Coates is speaking about. Is there someone that could speak to that?
I actually can address the process that we went through this morning. He's very well aware of the recusal process and even discussed it this morning for the avoidance of a conflict for any cases that he may have heard from his tenure on our board. In addition, if I recall this morning, I believe he said his brother, who serves on the Employee Appeals Board, was going to resign once if he was confirmed to this position. Correct me if I'm wrong. I see the Secretary of State rising to the occasion, but the two obvious answers was in the vetting this morning.
Well, I agree with you, Madam Speaker. He did say clearly that his brother intended to resign. And, of course, the idea that a lower court judge might go up to a higher court is one of the most common things in all of the American judiciary. It's not uncommon in the Cherokee judiciary. There are mechanisms in place to recuse a judge. They are long-standing, and I have no doubt that Judge Burris will adhere to that.
Ms. Watts, did you have other questions?
So there was, I think, that answered this morning that the reason that his, I guess it was a brief tenure under Chief Ross Swimmer on the Judicial Appeals Tribunal was not on his resume was because it was only a few months?
That's what he indicated.
So he did walk through that and explain why it had been left off his resume?
That was discussed at committee this morning, Counselor.
Well, obviously, I wasn't there. This is a Supreme Court position, and we got a 5-sentence bio that was 3 years old in our book 10 days ago. So I don't know Mr. Burris personally, like maybe some of you have had the opportunity, especially being an attorney. So I'm trying to do my job and would just like an answer.
Well, I took occasion to read his resume, which was sent to the council shortly after the introductory bio was sent. I took the time to visit with Mr. Burris before council. This morning he was there, and I think he was quite eloquent in how he presented himself. He did acknowledge that he left off a brief period of time in which he had additional judiciary experience. This is a man with a tremendous amount of experience on the bench, including on our Judicial Appeals Tribunal for a short period of time. He was also a CFR court judge.
In your research or your vetting of Mr. Burris, is he related to any elected officials, board members, or constitutional appointees such as yourself in those positions?
Mr. Burris, I believe it's his daughter-in-law that is on the Cherokee Nation, his daughter that is on the Cherokee Nation Foundation, and his son-in-law is on the Cherokee Nation board of directors.
And his son-in-law is on the CNB board?
Yes.
Okay. So those relationships, if that were to come in front of, there would be recusal on those as well, if there were such cases?
Certainly, anytime a judge has a case that he has to recuse himself from or she has to recuse herself from, there's a process in place to do that. Our justices have historically taken those matters up as a group and recused themselves as warranted. Recusal, as you can imagine, is not something that's unusual for judges to have to do from time to time. Doesn't mean it happens a lot, but in the grand scheme of things, it happens, and judges are well equipped to determine when that has to take place.
Because of the importance of his position, who is his daughter on the Cherokee Nation Foundation board, and who's the son-in-law on the Cherokee Nation Businesses board?
Amber George is on the Cherokee Nation Foundation, and Mr. Buck George is on the Cherokee Nation board of directors.
Okay. Very good. Looks like you married well, Buck. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Okay. Are there any other questions or comments? Yes, Mr. Lay.
Thank you. Yeah, I reviewed his bio, and he's, like I said before in the committee, eminently qualified for this job, and I'd like to be added as a sponsor, please.
Lay is a sponsor. I don't guess I even gave you all an opportunity to do that. Are there other sponsors at this time? Ms. Janelle, let's see, Mr. Thornton, Mr. Walkenstick, Victoria, okay, Mr. Bird, Curtis, Mr. Garvin?
I also have a comment.
Yes, Mr. Garvin.
Lynn Burris grew up in Muskogee, and I know the family, and he has two brothers, and Buddy Burris was a 3-time All-American at Zero U University, and I think Kurt was a 1-year All-American. But in the Tulsa world, they have a contest right now, the most famous Sooner over the years, and Buddy's in the running for that. And I encourage you all to vote for Buddy for Sooner of the Year. I'm sorry. Zero U University. O stands for zero.
Okay.
So I'll be voting yes.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Garvin. Good.
All right. Secretary Hoskins, I appreciate, where did he go? Back there. I appreciate your response. I also was not there this morning, and if we do have assurances that Mr. Burris will recuse himself from cases involving CNB, involving CNF, and involving that are coming up from the EAB, and if his brother is going to resign from the EAB, then I too will feel comfortable.
Well, my assurance is going to be that he recuse himself when the ethics of being a judge require that. I'm not going to speak for Mr. Burris. I'm not going to speculate on cases. No judge would speculate on a case that might come before them. You have my assurance that he will adhere to the standards of judicial conduct. You have my assurances that his brother has indicated he will resign. That's the extent that I can address that.
I appreciate that, and as I said, I will be happy to support in that instance. Thank you.
Well, I've just got to say something about this family. I was going to mention the same thing Councilor Garvin did about Buddy Burris, but I've attended church with their sister who recently passed away, Pauline Stavely, for the past 30 years, and the whole family is just a legacy to be looked up to. I can't begin to tell you how qualified they are, he and his twin brother, and it's just been a pleasure knowing them, and if you did know them, you would love them, everyone, for the service and what great people they are, great Americans, great Cherokees, and it just make you be proud. And I'm very happy to support him. Thank you.
Mr. Thornton.
Yes. If y'all will bear with me, maybe I can get this out. I wasn't planning on speaking on relationships and kin folks, but I decided that I might ought to say a word or two. My people, which come from Sequoia County and from all over, which are your people, and we're all blood kin, whether we like it or not. They came from the south to the Great Ice Wall and started out with 12 clans. And we ended up, by the time we got there, with 7 clans. As of today, we still have 7 clans. If you just bear with me just a little bit. And then we went into the Iroquois Nation and lived with them. Then we went back south to the area of today, which is the Carolinas and Georgia and Tennessee and Virginia. Europeans came to this continent after that. At that time, there's an estimated number of Native Americans on the continent at that time, which estimated to 100 million Native Americans. Now we as Native Americans, and that's all of us here, we are less than 2% of this nation's citizens. Cherokees have lived on Mother Earth. They didn't claim the earth, they lived on it. But the Europeans wanted to own our earth, especially after there was gold found in the Carolinas and in the East. This prompted a removal of our people, which we came on the Trail of Tears, which everybody knows, to Indian Territory at that time. We left the East with right around 12,000 full-bloods in our tribe at that time. And I'm proud to say today that we're out 12,000 strong full-bloods again. Our people has survived movements by working together. Side. Husband, wife, brother, sister, clans. Working for the nation. Our European people would have problems with blood-related working for our nation. This has been instilled into the people of our government. The government, which brought our people here, said, kill the Indian, save the child. by educating the Indian out of the child. You take away our language, culture, traditions, and ceremonies. To my people in my district, that's a crime, a violent crime, violence against my people's soul. Shallow graves between here and back east. These people that are kin, that are in those shallow graves, they would laugh about kinship, worrying about who's kin to who. And I'm sure they'd take it personal. That seems to be the problem nowadays. C&B, our great board members over there, have served us well in the last 3 years. There's only 10% of Native American gaming that's profitable in the tribes. Only 10% of the tribes. I appreciate you people because your dedication and putting my people before yourself. Integrity and honesty, I appreciate you very much. And that goes for our CEO also, Mr. Blake. You have a true heart and a true soul. This board, since 2011, has increased operating revenue by $213 million. That's 33% over 2011, and I think that's something to be proud of. Total assets has increased by $237,000 for the nation, and that's 40% increase in that. But people, our net worth has increased by $236 million, and that's 44% increase over 2011. Now that's nothing to laugh at, and that's no chicken feed. And I appreciate you sitting and listening to me. Thank you.
I would just like to make one last remark about our current nominee. I've been practicing law almost 35 years now. Judge Burris has 39 years' experience on the bench, along with Judge Garrett, that's already on our Supreme Court, that was appointed by the current chief. We will have probably close to 70 years' experience. He will become our most experienced, if confirmed tonight, he will become our most experienced judicial appointment to date. So I will be supporting him. I was the one that brought up his the first appeals board appointment, because I think that was the first or second year that I was practicing law, and I think I had to practice in front of him. And then I remembered, I don't know how many years I practiced in front of him here in Cherokee County, because he was our associate district judge. He's very well aware of the rules on when he needs to recuse and when he does not need to recuse. This is not a gentleman that's going into it with lack of experience. We have, over the years, placed some people in positions that did lack experience, but Judge Burris is not one of them, and I will be supporting him tonight. Are there any other questions or comments? Okay. All those in favor of this nomination can signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay. Ayes have it. Frankie, would you care to take number 15?
This is a resolution in support of Cherokee Nation's Promise Zone application, and I put that in the form of a motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second, and I believe this also came out of rules today. Are there questions or comments? Yeah.
It's a resolution.
Yeah, it's a resolution. Okay. All those in favor can signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Ayes have it. Number 16, Janelle, will you take that?
A resolution authorizing Cherokee Nation Information Technology Department to donate surplus office equipment to the Moffett Police Department in Sequoyah County. And
Second.
this is a used computer.
Second.
We've got one ready here with a second. All right, we have you put that in form of a
Yes,
motion?
yes.
And then we have a second by Mr. Walkenstick, and this is for the donation of surplus equipment there in Sequoyah County, is that correct? Okay, are there questions or comments? All those in favor can signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, and that equipment will be donated. Janice, Ms. Taylor, can you take number 17?
This is an act amending Legislative Act 2514, authorizing the comprehensive operating budget for fiscal year 2015, modification 3A, and declaring an emergency. And I put that in the form of a motion.
Second, by acclamation.
Okay. We have a motion and a second, and I believe this is the one that all the employees have been looking for. This contains our bonuses
Very important.
for the
Yes.
year, so I think everybody's excited about that. Are there any questions or comments? Although, we're doing it by acclamation, all those in favor can signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? And I, for one, I see the chief was walking out, but I will sign that tonight for all the employees. I will sign that tonight before I go. And I'm sure that hopefully he will shortly follow with a signature, and we can get that out to the employees. You've done a good job this year, and we want you to accept that with our gratitude. Okay, number 18, Mr. Walkenstick.
It's a resolution supporting the Federal American Indian Teacher Loan Forgiveness Act of 2014. Put that in form of a motion.
Do I have a second? Have a motion and second, and I would like to be added as a sponsor to that. I have educators in my family, and this is a good thing. Frankie, you want to be added as a sponsor? Who else? Janelle? Everybody on this side? How about everybody on this side? Let's make it unanimous. This is a good thing here, folks. We may be able to draw more teachers into the rural area if this passes as federal legislation. Okay. All those in favor can signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Ayes have it, and we'll send that up to Washington for consideration. Frankie, would you take number 19?
Yes, this is a resolution authorizing transfer of trust land and fee to Charles Stillwell. I put that in the form of a motion.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion and second, and let's see, Mr. Lady, did that come out of your committee today? Or was it, I believe it did come out of your committee, didn't it? Okay. This was talked about for a considerable amount of time this afternoon. Are there other comments? Yes, Ms. Watts.
I simply want to explain why I'll be abstaining, and it's anytime we give away tribal trust land, regardless of the circumstances, I'm still not comfortable and haven't wrapped my head around whether or not there's other options. I understand why we're doing it, but I don't want to vote yes. So an abstention's the next option. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Or is Mr. Blake?
I think this came out of resources possibly.
Okay.
But anyways, I'm not going to vote no on it, but I am going to abstain because I'm hoping that some of the smart guys down at the other end of this end of the building can figure out how to trade this type of property somehow, some way. We're doing it in other areas. Of course, it's kind of time consuming. But if we could trade the property, bring it to, say, Tahlequah, and give this property to this gentleman, I think that would have been a better way to do it. And those are my thoughts. Thank you.
Are there, yes, Mr. Thornton?
I think Mr. Lay has a good idea there. I don't know if it's too late to try to switch trust land for an acre of land for land that we do not have in trust, but that is a good idea.
Do we have other questions or comments? Okay. All those, this is a resolution, and it's number 19. All those in favor can signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Abstention, I'm sorry. Mr. Lay?
Abstain.
Ms. Watts? Mr. Gardner?
And Lee.
Mr. Keener? Do we need a roll call, or did I get everybody? Okay. Looks like the ayes have it. And so we'll forward that on. I believe that's an agreement between Realty and the Housing Authority. Okay. Curtis, would you care to take number 20?
Yes.
That'd be the last one on that sheet.
This is a resolution authorizing the Cherokee Nation's applications for full membership into the Intertribal Agriculture Council. I'll put that in form of a motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second by Mr. Byrd. Do we have questions or comments? Came out of our last committee, I believe, this afternoon. All those in favor can signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? I believe the ayes have it. All right, that moves us back to our book. That moves us down to announcements. We'll start down on this end. Do we have any announcements on this end? Okay. Yes, Mr. Gardner.
Today at noon, we got to hear the youth choir again. They're doing a fantastic job. I think they're in Tulsa tonight. But I'd like to introduce Maxine Harshaw, Mary Kay's mother, sitting right here. Also from Muskogee, Pastor Barrett, sitting right here.
Okay, announcements on this end. Yes, thank you.
We'll be having a community meeting in District 7 on Thursday, the 20th. We will have photo ID there at the Stowell High School cafeteria, starting at 4 o'clock, and we will serve dinner at 5.
Okay. Yes, I also would like to announce that we have a gentleman here by the name of Kevin Feltz. And Mr. Feltz, raise your hand, please. And I understand, sir, you sent some of our veterans to OU football game. Is that correct?
Well, actually, it was the OU Texas game.
Oh, OU Texas game. Okay. Now, you're talking to OSU alumni here, so I'm not as well versed in the OU scheme of things, but... All right. Well, we want to tell you how much we appreciate that, and I'm sure the veterans do too.
Madam Speaker?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I neglected something as we're introducing people, and I did introduce them in committee, but I want to introduce them in council here tonight. We have a visitor from the Cherokee At-Large Leadership Network, which represents a number of satellite organizations throughout the country, and Brandon Caruso is here from our Los Angeles organization, so we welcome him back to the Cherokee Nation. Very glad to have him with us this month.
And we appreciate you all for sitting through a very long meeting. We had a lot of business to conduct as we go into the holidays. We were trying to do as many things as we could in November. Just as a point of information, I would like you and our streaming video public to understand that all of these issues have been well vetted while they were in the committee process. So we appreciate you all being here tonight. And now I would like to maybe a consideration and motion to adjourn. Yes.
Before you do that, the chief recognized all the veterans in the audience, and I'd like to recognize all the veterans in the council if they would stand up.
I think that'd be very kind. Any veterans, please stand that are on the council. And again, thank all of you all for your service to this country and to this nation.
Motion to
Do I hear a motion to adjourn by
Motion to
Mr. Walkenstick, a second by Victoria? All those in favor can signify by saying aye. Aye. We'll see you next month. Thank you all.